It's going to be a 16-lap race here then. British Talent Cup Race 2 at the Donington Park National Circuit, racing alongside the British Superbike Championship this weekend, and away we go. Again, a terrible start from second on the grid from Jack Hart. Fenton Seabright was off like a rocket, and Cameron Horseman also, championship leader in fourth, number 23. Well, he squeezed through, and he's going to get the lead into turn one.
That was pretty brave from Horseman there, given that the conditions aren't ideal to just, pin it and straight up the inside there. Seabright, again, good start like yesterday, but still not quite able to come away with the whole shot. But so far, so good, and no crashes in these initial few corners at least.
Through Craner curves, which can be so tricky in conditions like this, and already Cameron Horseman opening up a huge lead. Not afraid to be the guinea pig in these inclement conditions. A few dive bombs down into the old hairpin there from one or two riders further back, but they've made it through the first half of this lap. Horseman it is that leads.
Yeah, it looks like he's just decided he's going to go for this, Cameron Horseman. Pretty impressive gap already, although obviously it can show a bit of a moment there for Charlie Farrer as well. He'll not want to crash out of the second race this weekend. I'm sure he'll just try and regroup a little bit after that drama.
Yeah, he's looking a little bit fragile in the early stages here, Charlie Farrer. That was Scott Ogden charging his way through, again from 10th on the grid, almost chopping Farrer's nose off. Number 9 there, good start from Brian Hart as well. So he's trying to get himself in contention, and there's Charlie Atkins, number 7, looking to make a move on Fenton Seabright. Doesn't quite work, so we come to the end of lap 1 here. Cameron Horseman with a huge lead. Be careful of those curbs though, Fenton Seabright.
Yeah, Fenton Seabright using a lot of curve yesterday as well, and at times a little bit of that green stuff, although not too much, and not getting himself a penalty, but definitely something to keep an eye on in these conditions. And Scott Ogden, again, supreme confidence from the man second in the championship, straight through there, and a good mission accomplished in the early laps again for him, and making those real gains off the line from that difficult starting position. Yeah,
the cream already starting to rise to the top here at Donington Park. Cameron Horseman with, 3 or 4 tenths of a second advantage ahead of Seabright now and Ogden. So the top 3 from yesterday are your top 3 in the early stages of this one. Charlie Atkins, number 7, is in 4th, and then it's 5th for number 9. That's Brian Hart, and number 19, Charlie Farrer then. Can he now just start to regroup and show the speed that he had yesterday?
Yeah, just needs to relax a little bit after that heart-in-mouth moment, I think, Charlie Farrer. But a little bit wide again there. Just keep it calm there in the early stages. You can throw it all away now, and you can't win it in the early stages. So there is plenty of time left, even though we're a shortened race. We've still got 2/3 distance.
So wide into McLean's there, and just opening the door for Swan and Nixon to come through. Number 20 and number 2 there as well. So it's the same 3 out front. There is number 4 putting a move, or just falling actually into the clutches of Charlie Atkins with Scott Ogden, but it is Horseman once again that leads, although that gap has been cut.
It has, yeah. Seabright definitely made some gains on that lap. We'll have to see what the gap is now. Yeah, so it's about 1/10 and a half now, and he's going for a move already, Fenton Seabright. So obviously feeling pretty confident now, and Horseman, who'd initially bolted, has had that reeled in very quickly.
Yeah, it's only going to take a couple of laps for these guys to really know where their limits are, and Fenton Seabright, who got pole position by a country mile yesterday, really looks like he's in the groove here.
Yeah, maybe this will be the pace we tipped for yesterday in the dry conditions. Maybe it's going to be today that he's going to unleash that incredible advantage that we did see in qualifying. Horseman now, of course, he'll know he doesn't need to win this race. He needs to finish in front of Ogden is the key objective, to keep that points advantage. And Seabright, like we said, a DNF in Silverstone, although it was through no fault of his own, and then just only 8 points in the other race. Obviously, yesterday, good points haul from a podium, but he is no threat to Horseman at the moment in the standings.
No, you're absolutely right, Fran. Seabright can lead this one, and Horseman really doesn't need to do anything other than just sit behind him for now. 42 points down is Seabright in the championship. He, of course, needs the win to try and launch himself back into the title race. Here we go into the back straight. This is a bit further back, the battle for 5th place. Good move there from Scott Swan, who's having a really strong race here, number 20.
Yeah, it was a bit more difficult race yesterday from Scott Swan, so this is good. Made some progress today and a bit further up the order. And Charlie Atkins, again, shout out for his good start. Yesterday he was the man who actually led into turn 1, so impressive stuff from him. See if he can keep that pace a little bit better throughout the race today. Charlie
Farrer again, just struggling a bit on that last lap, a bit slower than the guys out front. He's down in 8th place. The rider who looked like he was on for a potential win yesterday is the battle for 5th place, being led by number 20, Scott Swan, just from Nixon, number 2, and number 9, Brian Hart.
I'll be eternally disappointed about the fact we don't have a Frost in this field for the Frost Nixon references that we could have made. But yeah, this little group pretty close together on track. This looks like it might be a good fight. But out front at the moment, Seawright initially looked like he'd kind of gone past Horseman standing still after cutting that gap so quickly. But at the moment, these three still pretty much in touch with each other and no one able to just make that break at the moment.
Bit of a twitch at the rear end there from Fenton Seabright around Copper's corner, and that can be so costly on that corner because he's now lost all of his drive coming onto the back straight, and Cameron Horseman retakes the lead then. Scott Ogden not far away, number 4, as you can see him closing in quite a lot on the brakes. But now we come round then to tick off lap number 4, and these three already, as they have done so often at the start of this season, just starting to show their class.
Yeah, it's about 1.8 seconds now from Ogden back to Atkins in 4th, which is a sizable gap in any conditions. And yeah, definitely the cream of the crop at the moment. You see Ogden just checking that out. It's like, yeah, you've got plenty of breathing space behind you. This is a three-way fight at the moment, unless any serious changes in the weather or a big drama happens. And Horseman again now just starting to create a bit of a gap, but it doesn't seem like anyone's able to just really make that difference across a whole lap.
Yeah, Scott Ogden probably not paying attention at all to his pitboard, so decides to have a good look over the shoulder. That is a trait of a younger rider, shall we say.
Got to see it for their own eyes, you know. Seeing is believing. But yeah, at the moment then we'll have to keep an eye on it. Maybe Horseman looks a bit more decisive, that gap he's got at the moment. But yeah, we said that plenty of times yesterday, and it just changes so quickly. As yeah, someone else maybe got a little bit of an advantage somewhere else on track and just cuts that straight back down. But should be a pretty interesting one now, because the pressure's all on him if he's going to lead this race. And yeah, leave Scott Ogden behind and make another bit of advantage in the championship for him.
This is the battle a little bit further back. Maguire in 13th from Lyons, Tinker, the rookie, Davis, who of course had that moment at turn 1 on the sighting lap as well. At number 14 there is Tinker, who's just gone up ahead of Davis. Harry Lee's in there as well, the rider who struggled and had to retire yesterday. So scraps all the way through the field for the remaining points here. A lot of these riders just trying to make baby steps forward, and you'll start seeing something a bit more special from them as the season goes on. Now then, this is the battle for second between Scott Ogden and Fenton Seabright. Now, Scott Ogden has seen what Cameron Horseman is doing out front and has said, I've had enough of this. So he passes Fenton Seabright. Cameron Horseman then, just looking at that last lap, down in the low 18s. Now, they're about 4 seconds off the pace they showed in fully dry conditions yesterday. Although I have to say, Fran, the circuit looks like it's bone dry now.
It does, yeah. It doesn't look like there are too many issues out there for them, and that rain obviously has stayed away again after that sudden downpour we had on the initial grid. But yeah, it looks like Ogden has decided, okay, this gap's getting too big now. I'm going to get past you and see if I can go with him. Obviously, he needs to concentrate more on the number 23. 22 of Fenton Seabright needs to concentrate on getting as many points as possible to make up for that, yeah, more difficult place in the standings. And Horseman just wants to keep winning, I imagine, at this point.
If you're just joining us, we had a bit of a downpour before the start, so the shortened race distance of 16 laps, every single rider on identical machinery and identical wet Dunlop tyres, so you're not going to see lap times as we did from yesterday. At the moment, it's Cameron Horseman, who is the championship leader, yesterday's race winner, number 23, who leads from number 4, Scott Ogden, and 22, Seabright. Charlie Atkins is in a bit of a lonely 4th place at the moment, number 7, and then Charlie Farrer has now regrouped, shall we say, number 19, and is in the lead of that big group just a bit further back. Here we are, joining it now as they drop into the old hairpin.
Yeah, obviously had a few moments, did Charlie Farrer in the early stages, now seems to have got that together a bit, and you can see just starting to pull away from these guys a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see now that obviously the conditions have improved. Maybe he feels a little bit more confident, and we'll see more of the Farrer that we saw yesterday in the dry.
It's amazing, isn't it, how you can see already at such a young age what riders are willing to push from the off and really try and find their limits immediately, whereas one or two others just taking it slightly cautious, just trying to feel their way into the race.
Horseman certainly very impressive straight off the line, willing to push from the off, even though he is in a lot of ways the guy with the most to lose. Reminds me of a similar one we had in the Asia Talent Cup in the damp. Haruki Noguchi, who was then the points leader, tried the same. Didn't quite work out the same way, and immediately binned it into turn 1 at Sepang. Bit of a heartbreaker.
Yeah,
so it doesn't always pay off.
It is a gamble, but Horseman seems really confident in himself at this moment in time. His lead now is 1.2 seconds as we look back here to number 19, Farrer. This is the battle for 5th place that you're looking at, ahead of Nixon Swan Hart, Claridge and Pinson. That's your top 10 at the moment. So a bit of a stretched out race, this one so far. But as we get closer now to halfway distance, can Ogden or Seabright eat into that lead? On that last lap, both Ogden, number 4, and Seabright, 22, were marginally quicker than your race leader, Cameron Horseman.
Yeah, they were. They're certainly not getting dropped by any means by the number 23, but they are going to need to find a little bit more than maybe a few hundredths or even a tenth if they are to really reel him back in, because, yeah, like I said, over a second now, and Horseman certainly seems pretty comfortable in the lead. But good news for Seabright. Obviously, Ogden got past him, thought, OK, I think I can go a bit quicker than you and try and reel him in. But he's not been dropped at all, still right on the tailpipes, as our colleague in the office, Elliot York, would say, of the number 4 machine ahead of him. So that's good for him if he can just sit in there and they can start trying to reel in the number 23 in the lead.
What's really nice to see are the 22 riders out there that have been selected. At the back at the moment is Edward O'Shea. Now, he's the youngest rider in the field, just 12 years old, far less experienced than any of these guys out on circuit. And yet, there's only about 3 seconds in terms of the difference in lap times, which is really, really impressive. I remember in the first year of Asian Talent Cup, there was about a 10-second difference between first and last.
Yeah, obviously, it is a fairly big age range, but it's also a time in your life, obviously, when you change the most, and you might suddenly grow 2 feet within that sort of space of time, which makes a big, big difference on a Moto3 machine. But yeah, definitely it's good to see. And the likes of Farah as well, who last year maybe a bit of a tougher year, and this season big step forward, again showing just that learning and progress. That's almost more important than just going out there and dominating.
Oh, we've just got a rain flag in the back corner there, up in the top right. Yeah, the white flag with the red cross, and it looks like Scott Ogden here is getting into a bit of a groove. He's closed that gap down significantly. It was 1.2 seconds a moment ago. It's probably around half a second at the moment as they head onto the back straight. Fenton Seabright's not been able to go with him, number 22, but we could have a real race on here between the 2 riders that are first and second in the championship. And look how much Ogden closes through the final chicane and onto the home straight as we enter the final third of this race. It is not going to be a one-man show.
No, it is not, and I wouldn't be surprised yet. He's going to go for a move already, so I'm sure Horseman probably not expecting that after probably having been aware that he dropped them a little bit. So yeah, obviously it's difficult when you do get obviously the rain flag and then you see those drops on your visor. It's psychologically even more than just physically on the track can really affect you, and especially if you are leading the race, leading the championship, and just suddenly the rain starts again, you must get that feeling of, oh no, please stop. But yeah, certainly at the moment then it's all closed up at the front and we have another 3-way fight for the lead. Yeah,
Fenton Seabright sniffs something here. He can now smell a potential race win. And Scott Ogden just posted the fastest lap of the race down into the 1:17s. They are now 3 seconds off full dry slick pace. Cameron Horseman, then having been overtaken, is not being dropped by Ogden. He might just be happy to sit there and take a good look at his well, what's going to be a championship rival by the looks of things for this 2019 season.
It would certainly seem so, yeah. So obviously, if it finished like that, which it doesn't seem like it necessarily will, as Horseman immediately fights back into the final chicane. But yeah, obviously these guys currently split by 5 points. If it finishes with the number 4 in front of the number 23 for the win, it'll go back to how we were when we arrived here with equal points. So pretty interesting stuff with those guys and their tactics. And then Fenton Seabright, bit of a wild card in the equation, and he just wants the most points he can.
Scott Ogden retaking the lead, then he just pulled off a bit of tape, I think, from the radiator there as he made his way onto the back straight, which made him lose a little bit of momentum, but he's so fast through the final sector and the first sector again. You see a couple of rain spots on the camera lens there as they make their way around Hollywood, now down into Craner Curves. These are the riders battling here at Donington for the race win. Ogden, Horseman and 22 Seabright. And a big look over the shoulder there from Cameron Horseman, which is going to lose him potentially quite a bit of time up the hill.
It's almost the full Nico to roll, please feel free, go past me, that one. But yeah, seemed to lose out a little bit of time there. We saw Brian Hart, I think, earlier in the race as well, pulling off some tape. But yeah, it should be an interesting one now. If Horseman's really that aware of who's behind him, maybe he's yeah, feeling the pressure a little bit now. Ogden's past him, does seem to have just the edge on his countrymen at the moment.
Charlie Atkins is still in a bit of a lonely 4th place. I say a bit, it's by quite a... Oh, no, he's not, actually, because he's been caught. I was just looking at the wrong bit on the time screen. That's Charlie Farah that's just come through. So he really is confident again now.
Yeah, that's changed incredibly quickly. On our timing screen, still showing just under 6 tenths. And he's obviously suddenly been caught and passed by Charlie Farah, who's yeah, bit of a rocket ship moment and lap for him then, and up into 4th place.
I'm just going to keep the check on Farah's lap time there, 1:18 flat. Okay, he's lapping similar times to the race leaders. I don't think he's going to catch up that 4.2 seconds, but stranger things have happened. There aren't many laps left in this one, though. So here are your leaders. Scott Ogden still just with the advantage from Cameron Horseman, who's going to attack here down into the old hairpin. Thought about it, sticks where he is for now. Fenton Seabright not far away. Just looks like the wind's starting to pick up again here at Donington Park as well as we come to the closing stages.
Yeah, it looks a little bit foreboding out there, and we can see we've got a flag outside the commentary box. That is flapping again, as it was just before the start of this race. So, yeah, conditions not really getting any better at all. You can see the rain flag in the background again. So, yeah, tricky thing to judge for these guys, especially when you're at the front.
Around Coppice Corner we go. We are on lap 12 of 16 as we make our way onto the back straight. Will these conditions change to maybe change the race in this in the closing stages? Down the back straight, here comes Cameron Horseman on the brakes, neatly done, as easy as that. He goes through into the lead then ahead of Ogden.
Ogden really didn't want to give that one up, did he, at all? That's pretty close down there. But Horseman, obviously, these three guys obviously still feeling pretty confident in this. Just got a notification on our screen, drops of rain in all sectors. So it's not just a couple of places on track to watch out. Looks like this is going to be a fairly interesting finish if this gets any worse.
I tell you what, if there were another 4 or 5 laps left in this race, Charlie Farah would probably have a good chance of doing something here. It's really raining now. Now, do you know, 1 or 2 riders there lifting up their arms. This race can't be stopped for climatic conditions. Unless it was seen as dangerous by the race organisers, it's not going to get stopped. And Farah, well, he all of a sudden now, this would be the win of the century for Charlie Farah. He has miles back in this race.
Yeah, he really was, and making some incredible gains now. But yeah, like you say, they're on wet tyres. This is declared a wet race. There is no point looking up at the sky and gesturing at it. This is how it is going to be. And you can see there on the graphic, 1.6 seconds from Farah, quicker than the guys ahead. And of course, they're still chopping and changing a little bit, which will slow them up even more. So I think this could be a pretty interesting one when he suddenly arrives on the scene and they're thinking they've had a 3-way battle this whole fight.
Well, when we cross the line next, it will be 13 laps completed of 16. Charlie Farah was 1.6 seconds quicker on that last lap than Fenton Seabright. Now into the final chicane. Charlie Farah is coming through like a bat out of hell at the moment. Let's see what his lap times look like this time around. It's still Ogden that leads this one from Cameron Horseman and Fenton Seabright. But in the background there, Farah goes across the line, and it's now down to 1 second, the gap between Seabright and Farah.
Another 1.1 you can see on that graphic, and we had a change of lead as well. I think Horseman getting through there. So yeah, as well, if those guys do chop and change and slow themselves up a little bit, and especially if maybe they've not seen the pit board, they don't know that threat is coming so quickly from behind. That's incredible. That's 2.8 seconds in 2 laps that he's knocked off there.
Charlie Atkins also, number 7 there, just in 5th, is also closing, as are these guys. There's number 9. That was a bit of an audacious move there from Brian Hart. He's just gone a little bit wide. So, up towards McLean's we go. Number 19, Charlie Farah, now he's just, what, a couple of tenths away from being in contention of a podium here. He looks over his shoulder, he sees Charlie Atkins. I don't really know what he's learning by looking behind him, because he's the man that's making the forward steps right now.
He's the man they need to be looking over their shoulder for, I think, at the moment. And Farah, I think now that's it. Yep, it's now a 4-way fight for the lead.
And watch how strong he is on the brakes coming into this one. Number 19 in 4th. He is so good down into this final chicane. He said yesterday that if he'd have gone race distance and it hadn't crashed, he fancied himself to win, even if he was 3rd going into the back straight.
Some of those moves he's taken 2 at a time, a couple of times in that race, and he can see now. Let's see if he'll straight away try and attack for the lead.
Oh, he's on that outside line again. That's where he crashed yesterday. Charlie Farah in 4th place still right now. So close. Well, what an exciting climax this is to the race 2 of the British Talent Cup here at the Donington Park National Circuit. The rain's starting to fall again in certain sectors, but Charlie Farah, well, since he's got to this group, he's not made any dangerous moves, which is always a positive. Charlie Atkins is getting closer now as well. When will he engage battle, number 19, or is he just waiting for the right moment? Because we are running out of time here.
We are, yeah, penultimate lap now, and as you can see, Charlie Atkins again a second off the leader Cameron Horseman's lap time last time around. So this could very well be a 5-way fight for the win onto the final lap. But it looks like Farah now starting to make some moves, maybe around the outside
into Coppice. How'd you like that? That's a blind entry as well. Brilliant drive out of McLean's. So Charlie Farah then making a move. I can tell you, Charlie Atkins Atkins, number 7, will not need an invite. He will... He's never had a podium in British Talent Cup. He would love it to come here. And now here comes Charlie Farrer again. Oh, he thought about a move up the inside of Ogden. We are now going to cross the line and complete lap 15. Just a couple to go here.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of positives, though, if he doesn't feel the need to suddenly banzai straight past them. And we're on to the last lap now.
I can't count, Fran. I'm getting too excited.
But, yeah, Scott Ogden then attacking for the lead onto this last lap. And Farrer's made it further than he did in yesterday's race and looking like the man who may be a quick surprise at the end of this lap.
Oh, here comes Cameron Horseman, and that's going to help out Charlie Farrer as well. It's also going to help out Charlie Atkins in 5th, because these guys chopping and changing invites him to the party. Down into the old hairpin then. Horseman has it from now, ahead of Ogden. Then it's Farrer, Seabright and Atkins. Who will be on the top step here at Donington? Up the hill towards McLean's corner. Farrer's just lost a 10th there. Isn't going to contend, and Seabright challenges him immediately. Great move from the number 22. But this is where it all counts now as we come up towards Coppice Corner. Farrer challenges again. Goes back into 3rd, but he can't find a way through. It's time to try and find your position. Getting the drive, so important on the back straight now, Fran.
Yeah, it's all going to come down to the final chicane, I think, today. And Charlie Farrer will fancy himself to at least make it 1 position and try and get a podium out of this race.
Oh, it's going all the way down to this final chicane. Farrer looking to try and make 2 in 1, and he's wiped out 2 as well. Oh, you just knew it was going to happen, didn't you? The checkered flag is out. Scott Ogden is going to take victory here, number 4. He takes the victory from Fenton Seabright, I believe, or is it? Oh, it is Seabright, and look at this. Unfortunately, Charlie Farrer has to take blame there. It was a bit of an ambitious move down into that chicane, Fran.
It was a little bit overly ambitious, and yeah, shame for him, obviously, and then for the guys he's taken down with him. It's just championship leader Cameron Horseman.
Wow. Well,
so big drama there. Last year when they raced at Donington was a 7th, so that's yeah, impressive stuff from him. And you can see the gaps.
There you see the win for Scott Ogden. That doesn't really tell the whole story, that graphic right there. Scott Swan took 3rd ahead of Jack Nixon. Brian Hart was 5th in the end ahead of Harvey Claridge. Elliot Pinson 7th. Jack Hart in 8th. And Jamie Lyons in 9th place. Rhys Irwin in the end, in the inclement conditions, considering he's so strong normally, really struggled in that race. And I wonder whether they changed anything sprocket-wise or whether confidence hit him, but he was way back, 34 seconds adrift in 10th. I have to try and find out what happened there ahead of Maguire, Tinker, Shelton, Torrin Collins and Oshan Jones was 15th and took the final point, with Harry Lee in 16th, Jamie Davis 17th and Edward O'Shea in 18th. George Hopper was 19th, and then of course Horseman, Farrer, Atkins, all dramatically crashing out in the final chicane.
Yeah, so our only DNFs then in that race all came from that very, very last-minute drama, and here you can see the knock-on effects of that in the standings. 86 points now for Scott Ogden at the top of the table, and it's a whopping 20 points, a whole 2nd place off now for Cameron Horseman after he lost out there. Fenton Seabright, though, leapfrogging quite a few riders there, up to 3rd overall. Still 42 points down, though, and then Rhys Irwin in 4th, Jack Hart, Scott Swan, another to make some big gains there with that podium result today. And I bet when they were fighting over that, there's only a couple of tenths between the 3 of them squabbling over that. Didn't realise it was for a podium at the time.
Charlie Farrer, look how costly that was. He was 4th coming into this weekend. 2 DNFs here at Donington Park National Circuit. He's down in 11th overall, 63 points adrift, and you've got to believe that a 6-round championship with 12 races, that's a bit of a mountain to climb. Over there is Fenton, just on the left there. Wry smile on the face for him. Scott Swan was 3rd, Fenton Seabright 2nd, sorry, not 2 3rd places. And Scott Ogden then with a lovely 20-point lead coming into the GP circuit when these guys race with World Superbike next time out for round 3.